to the SnT Conference 2017. Please, you will see my colleague behind you at the door. We're going to start by a little surprise, by a little on-site exercise, meaning a group photo. So if you follow him, we would be taking the photo with the Executive Secretary, Lasina Zerbo, and then everyone is invited to come back. Thank you. All right. Dear youth group members, we're now going to start after the photo is already done. So you can say, first important thing checked off. Welcome to Vienna, welcome to this conference and to the orientation session. I do hope, I know that quite a few of you have traveled from far abroad to join us here today, and we really hope that you had a very pleasant trip and that your settling in Vienna for this week was also great. At least we're sure that the weather was definitely very warm and very welcoming for you. Let me briefly introduce ourselves. My name is Maria Chupurna, and I'm an Associate External Relations Officer at the External Relations Protocol and International Cooperation section. And I'm joined at the moment here by Ryan Gonzalez, who is a computer-based training officer at the on-site inspection training section, and also a member of the youth group support team. In a few minutes, we will be joined by someone who does not probably need an introduction for you. Someone who is, if I may say, your godfather, because the project of launching the youth group was actually his. And also someone who is your bigger fan, someone who in every high-level meeting raises the visibility of the youth group, mentioning how important the role you and our generation is being played to make sure that the treaty, the CTBT, enters into force. Of course, this is Dr. Lassina Zerbo. The importance of the Science and Technology Conference, for which you have flown in this week, is it's a very unique event. First of all, why? Of course, because it happens once in every 2 years, meaning that for the past 2 years, all of us, all our teams have been working to make sure that we put together not only a scientifically interesting program, but also a program that would be engaging and entertaining. And I think this is definitely something that would be important for you to play around with, apart from all the panels that would allow you to learn a lot from them. Definitely also use the opportunity to see the whole premises where you have a lot of interactive presentations and sessions, and to learn from that as well, let's say to learn by playing around. The uniqueness of the Science and Technology Conference is also because it has the objective of bringing together the wider scientific community on which we rely to make sure our verification technology, which is at the basis of the treaty, is really up to date, and that it has the latest verification technologies supporting it. And also it's about increasing the visibility of our treaty, making sure it stays at the top of the political agenda. From this perspective, it's about bringing together not only scientists or researchers who specialize in verification technologies, but also people like you, as well as experts, academics, diplomats, to make sure that the treaty is known to the public. Because the more the treaty is known to the people, the more it would be visible. And the more the states, especially the ones, and as you know, there are a couple of states, especially the 8 Annex II states that have not yet ratified the treaty, the more they would be motivated actually to adhere to this norm and to make sure that we finish what we have started over 20 years ago. Our objectives for this orientation session this morning is actually triple. First of all, it is for us to get to know each other. It's not only for you to get to know us, but it's also for you to get to know each other. Secondly, it is for us to try to answer the questions you may have, or at least to make sure that you get the best visibility of what you would want to have from this Science and Technology Week. And finally, for you, after we end this discussion, to make sure that you have a fantastic week in front of you from which you can benefit to the most. If we look at the slides, the The goals of the conference, you have all seen them already. There are four main goals. First of all, to enlarge the scientific community engaged in test ban monitoring, especially young scientists. Secondly, to promote the wider scientific application of the data, because we have loads of data coming from all the international monitoring systems deployed all over the globe. And what are we going to do about this data? Today, for example, with different scientific institutions that need additional funding, the best thing they can do is actually use something that is easily accessible and that is free. And this variety of data that can not only be used for, let's say, military needs, but definitely also for civil and scientific, this is definitely one of the bigger richnesses of the CTBTO. Another possibility is also to enhance the exchange of knowledge and ideas between the CTBTO and the broader scientific community, and to present to this very scientific community, those 1,000 people that would be here this week, what actually we need. Because it's not just about learning from the others, it also making the others understand that we do have some specific needs of our own, and for encouraging them to actually start studying and developing the projects that would be of further interest to us. If we but for now, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to the Executive Secretary of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, Dr. Lasina Zerbo.
Thank you. Ryan, I thought you were talking first, so good morning, everybody. I see Bob Camrat there. Bob, why don't you join me for, what is Paulina? Paulina is probably the youngest. And Bob and Paulina will come, and then that will help me to start my speech. Paulina? You see? So Bob is the youngest. Bob has been in every single of the 40 now, 50, 48 working group B of the organization. And Paulina is coming for a first event at the CTBT, and that's the beauty about the youth group. And I wanted Bob and Paulina to meet for a picture, and then before I start my speech, because that's a wonderful picture. Paulina is 15. I met her in Japan, and then she asked me, she said, but Mr. Zerbo, I want to be part of the youth group, but I'm only 15. I said, Paulina, you can be, and then now, when kids start speaking at 2 years old, they can be part of the CTBT youth group. So, Paulina is the youngest. Okay. So we have Okay. So I'm talking about Paulina, but there's Chris is the one who said that in me he sees a man of great potential. So you want to stand up, and then so you feel old and then I feel young. That's what he told me when he met me in Japan. So that's Chris. Chris, can you stand up? Yeah, that's Chris, but you can come. Chris was in Japan too, and then after my speech, he gave me a little, a little letter, and then he said, don't read it now, you read it when you fly. So I opened the little letter, and then I saw, he wrote, Mr. Zerbo, I see in you a man of great potential, part of which brightly shines already. That's what Chris told me. Okay, thank you, Chris. So Chris is here, and Paulina, they're both here because through Masako and then the CNS, I met them in Japan at a youth event, and then that was probably one of the highlight of my year 2017. But I mean, the highlight is you, truly, because we started this youth group because many of us believe that at the end of the day, your generation is probably the generation that will basically see not only this treaty enforced, but probably as close as we can be to a world free of nuclear weapon. And that's why it's so great to see you guys be part of the CTBT. I was telling Sarah and Asia that they look old today because they were the first one to join me in starting this group. But now when they see Paulina, who is 15, I'm sure they feel old too. Am I right? Asia and Sarah, okay. So, but anyway, so I'm glad to see all of you here joining, eminent scientists like Bob Cameron, who's been working in this field for so many years and been part of the CTBT technology development for nuclear test monitoring. Even myself, I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have the chance to meet people like Bob Cameron, because you can come in an environment, but if people don't welcome you and then give you the opportunity to grow in what you do, it will never happen. So because I have had wonderful opportunity to see and meet people like Bob and many others who have been in my path since I started school, I think it's my turn to give it back to you, because that's how life is. If you don't give back, you don't grow. And then if you don't take from people of experience like Bob and many others that I've met in my path, life would not be as interesting as it is. So you guys are here to learn from each other. You're here to talk to each other. You have many among you who have better experience, more experience. You have to help youngers like Paulina and Chris to grow as well, because they want to learn. But as you learn, the difficult thing in this field, because it's a very, very, very sensitive environment, people often ask, on which capacity the youth group members are talking. Of course, you're not talking on your country's capacity. You're talking in your individual capacity. But in this world where social media has gone so far and so fast and so great, your individual capacity is probably stronger than your national capacity. And that's the beauty of youth today. And that's why there's no other way than joining and linking with the youth to get a better world for us, for the future, and then for your kids too. Because Paulina will be soon a mother. Not soon, but I mean in many years. Okay? And then she will be talking about other kids as well. But I think the CTBT want to give you all an opportunity to learn about what Secretary Kerry has called one of the greatest accomplishments of this modern world, our international monitoring system and the verification regime that we're building. I'm so passionate about this work because I often say I don't think I have had or I would have a much fulfilling job than the one I have. I often say it's when I was director of IDC, but it's overall. I think the CTBT is so fulfilling. So you guys are lucky. That's how you should take it. You have a wonderful opportunity at your age to be mingling with people of such a wonderful experience. Today, you will see more tomorrow. You will see diplomats, you will meet high-level people, eminent people, young people. I think you should talk to them. You know yourself, but you have to know others, and then share your little experience with those who have better experience. If you do that, you can only grow. And my wish is that among you guys, one day, the Director General of the CTBT is among the youth group here. And then if one of you become the Director General, don't forget, if we're still in life, call us to come, and then we'll talk to you. That's how life is. But this is what I wish you all, to learn more about the CTBT, to be passionate about it, to make sure this treaty enters into force, and then to do your best to spread the word. The CTBT should and must enter into force. Let's finish what we started. Maria Chipurina just said, I'm impressed because she only joined the CTBT, what, 2 months ago? 2 months ago. So she's like a youth group as a member, so don't mind you. So this is part of the beauty of this organization. I think you've come to the Hofburg Palace. This is one of the hearts of the city of Vienna, a beautiful place. You will see things shining. I don't know if you went to this room. Have you been there? You will see a mock of our hydroacoustic station with things flying. I don't know if you've tried it. We did it because of you guys, because we know you like toys, and then you like, So you will take it and then you'll play with it a little bit. I did yesterday, by the way. I have a video of it that I've sent. So you can do the same. But this is part of learning about the science and technology behind the CTBT. But more so, you have policy as well. You're a bunch of scientists, a bunch of future diplomats. So you have to do your best so that you mix science and diplomacy to try and push some agenda in this modern world today. So especially at the time of difficulty in terms of, you say, US-Russia relation, China, and many things that seem to be not as smooth as we wanted them to be. We need people like yourself, because if you guys start talking to each other today, tomorrow you have a bond that nobody can destroy. And that's the beauty of having youth working together and then pushing things like non-proliferation and disarmament. And this is what is great. And this is what I'm so proud. Nobody could stop me from launching this youth group. I've had difficulty, like many things. When I start the group of eminent person, why does he want to do that? When I start the youth group, even 2 weeks ago, people are wondering, why do we mention the youth group on the CTBT statement? I mean, those probably forget that they've been young too. Okay? But anyway, we tend to forget pretty quickly. So, when you start having kids, you think, okay, you're not young anymore. But as you grow, you say, oh, I want to be young. I was telling some of you yesterday that I wish I could do my life in reverse. Okay? But you think about it, and then you tell me how you feel. But anyway, welcome to Vienna. We're happy to have you. Not only me, the whole community in Vienna, the diplomats that constitute the CTBT here and in the respective countries are proud of you. But I can't finish without talking about my Japanese friend. That's Shizuka. Shizuka, you want to stand up? Okay. Shizuka is probably the one who gave me the idea of the youth group. I was in Hiroshima at a conference, and I was with Secretary Perry, who is another eminent scientist and eminent figure in the United States, Secretary of Defense 19. And then we were at the panel, and then talking. And Shizuka was sitting in the front row, and she was crying. So I said to Dr. Perry, but there's this young girl crying. I don't know, should I stop talking? Or what should I do? So Secretary Perry told me, no, carry on. But I said, no, but she's really crying. I don't know. Something must have happened. I don't know if she has a fight with her neighbor or what's happening. So he asked me to continue. So I continued talking. And then at the end, she came to me. And then I asked her, why are you crying? And then she fell over me. And then she said, no, I'm crying because of you. So I got scared. I said, what have I done? Shizuka is crying because of me. I said, what have I said? I said, but what have I said? She said, no, it's what you were talking about. I was so touched that I started crying. That's what Shizuka told me. And guess what? So she wrote me one of the best letters. Oh, no, Chris, I'm not saying yours is not great, but one of the best letters I've ever received, talking about life in Japan, talking about war, talking about nuclear weapon, and then talking about a dream for the future, a dream for peace. So I took the letter, and then we had an event with the mayor of Hiroshima. And then I was talking about the letter I received, and then I sent a letter to many people around. And guess what? In August, the city of Hiroshima is making me an honorary citizen of Hiroshima. Probably because of Shizuka. I don't know. So she doesn't even know that. Okay, but I'm going to Hiroshima for that. Okay, but after talking to Shizuka and then exchanging, reading a letter many times. By the way, I gave your letter to my 3 daughters as well. But when you have 3, they don't react to letters the same way. One read it, and then she said, fine. The other one said, oh, that's very touching. And then the other one said, who wrote it? We want to meet her. So you see, when you have 3 daughters, they're never the same. I'm sure you guys know that. You're not the same, like your siblings. But Shizuka, thank you so much. You've inspired me to launch this youth group, and then I met wonderful young people, and then we'll continue to meet more and more. There are 70 of you today in Vienna from 54 countries. We have nearly 200 youth group members. We want more, because by spreading the words, our policymakers would have no choice than getting this treaty into force. I thank you so much for being here. Enjoy yourself, meet people, learn about yourself, learn about others, and then make sure you advance this treaty the best possible. Thank you so much.
Dr. Zerbo, thank you very much. Let us continue now with, would you actually take some questions from any of the members? Are there any questions to Dr. Zerbo? There seems to be one, actually. Can we please have a mic?
I say Carlos because for those of you who are on Twitter, Carlos is one of the most active youth member tweeting. So whether you want or not, you will see his name. And by the way, Carlos, one ambassador was telling me, where did you find this Carlos? He's always pushing for the city. We don't know what to do with him. Carlos, this is what we want. You have to keep pushing. But I mean, you push, because I've learned as well in diplomacy, you have to push to a certain level and then you stop because, diplomats are so slow in making decisions. So that's something that you will learn as well. But keep pushing for this treaty.
Well, my questions are related to social media and Twitter, so it's a good segue. What are some ways that we can kind of keep pushing and using these tools? Do you have any suggestions on what we can do?
No, I think there is look, one of you, Rizwan from Pakistan, wrote an article already this week. As I say, you write in your personal capacity. But if at your age, your generation, you share your views with people about how you feel and how you see this treaty, you make a difference already. We can only work among policymakers, we can advocate, we can talk about the civil and scientific application, we can talk about the benefits of the international monitoring system, we can talk about how it complements the national technical means of countries. But we need you because people will listen to you and your generation more than they listen to us today. Because we live in our own cocoon, we have our meetings, we talk, policymakers, scientists, sometimes we fight, we don't agree, we sometimes take hours to agree on a comma in a word when we put the report together, but you guys are not in this field. You just speak your mind, okay? And you talk from your heart. And in this current world, people are not talking from their heart anymore. They talk depending on what's happening around. And that's not always good. We have to see and feel you and feel people. So you guys are the one bringing that back to us. And that's what is important. So the more you spread the word, but in learning as well about the monitoring system, about the treaty, you have to read, you have to get it inside you, because if you want to speak in your individual capacity, people want to see in you that you understand what you talk about. Because it's not about a toy. I was talking about toys, but the CTBT is far more complicated. Whatever you will say, people will take it and then say, oh, by the way, Dr. Zerbo, there is a CTBT youth group member who is talking, something that we don't understand. He's from our country, but he doesn't understand the country's policy. I've seen some of you, you have Sylvia Misra, who is from India. It's not easy for her because the CTBT, I often say when I'm in a room with Indian, I'm asking them, I say, is anybody sneezing? They're wondering why I'm saying this. I said, no, because I thought the word CTBT and myself is giving you some allergy. But you say, I'm joking. It's a joke. I'm teasing them a little bit. But it's because the CTBT hasn't been in India the way it should be. It was in India at a time where India has had a certain view. But things have changed. And we need people like Sylvia to come, be part of the youth group, and many of the Indian and Pakistanis who are members of the youth group, because they will help make a difference. They will help those who have negotiated the treaty and not be, fully in sync with what the international community wanted to put forward. and then take their concern and then see how this generation in India and Pakistan will make a difference, and then get India and Pakistan to be well connected with this treaty and then move forward. Pakistan has made some step already because they are an observer to the CTBT, and we're hoping that Misra and all our Indian friends from the youth group will make a difference for India to join slowly and, at their pace, by the way, this treaty, because we need India, we need Pakistan, we need North Korea, we need US, we need China, we need Iran, we need Israel, Egypt, so that we can get this treaty into force. So, Misra, when I meet Rakesh Shud, for instance, I will say, Rakesh, do you know Misra? If you say yes, I say, okay, she will help you to get this treaty ratified by India. Okay? So this is what I'm hoping that most of you, and then Carlos, you will do that in the United States anyway. Am I right? If you meet Trump, if you meet President Trump in a lift going up to the Trump Tower, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to listen to the youth on Twitter.
Okay, so, great. So any other question?
So my question is on primacy or prioritization. So when we talk to people, is it better that we talk to officials or we talk to members of the community? What's the better way to get this treaty closer to ratification and enforcement?
Look, there's no crystal ball where one can say only talk to officials, because we need we need the civil society, we need NGO, we need advocates of the treaty, advocates of non-proliferation and disarmament to make a difference. I'll give you a simple example. As you fly back to your country, you might be sitting next to somebody. Instead of being on all the files you've saved on your iPhone or your iPad and then reading it, if you turn and say, hi, how are you? I'm so-and-so, where are you from? You might end up talking to somebody like, a policymaker in India or in Pakistan or in any of the 8 remaining countries. And then you say, okay, what do you do? And then you start talking. You say, no, I'm part of the CTBT youth group. It's a CTBT youth group. But if you come out and explain to you that you've learned a lot about this treaty and then you think that it's important that it enters into force, your voice will probably resonate more than the advocacy that we do from Vienna. And this is how you can do it. Don't stop talking about it. This is what I do. I breathe CTBT until I finish my term, so that this treaty gets, and then even after. So, when I'm an old man sitting somewhere in Burkina Faso, hopefully the CTBT will be enforced by then. That's our hope. But no matter what, I'll be an advocate of non-proliferation and disarmament. So you have to talk about it. Okay? There's no official, non-official, whoever you meet, and whoever can make a difference, please do so. And that's what we're encouraging you guys to do. Rizwan.
Hi, so you said we need to keep pushing, and pushing. So when you want us to push, who should be our target? Is it the common people, like we just need to spread awareness, or is it the real stakeholders in our countries who are going to make decisions?
Who should be your target? The target will depend on the country. I think if you, let's take, who would be your target in North Korea? If I ask you the question.
I am from Pakistan. I can tell you who should be my target in Pakistan.
Okay, tell me who should be your target. Maybe that will give you more ideas.
Pakistan Army, who is the real decision maker.
Who, sorry?
Pakistan Army, military establishment, people who are making the real decisions about nuclear testing and weapons.
Mm-hmm. I think it will be the same in North Korea as well. I think you're hitting the nail there. What we found with the CTBT, because we're dealing with both defense, and foreign affairs, scientific community, NGO, you'll find, and then for a reason, that defense people are a little bit uptight with regard to making the decision on the ratification of the CTBT. Because they want to see, that's what military are for, they want to see an option to keep some strength. and then to have some leverage. That's what it is. And that's what you will see in India, that's what you will see in Pakistan, that's what you will see probably in Egypt or Iran or in many countries. This is normal. But what we have to do and what you have to do is to give from your heart what you think the world would be without nuclear weapon. We can still, conventional arms are okay, but why are we trying to do a WMD, weapon of mass destruction, free world? It's because we talk about not nuclear only, chemical weapon, biological weapon, and then so forth. So we're trying to make sure that those weapons that can destroy our humanity, because we want our world to be safe. And that's what it is. If those who live in Hiroshima tell you how the pictures they have from Hiroshima during the war, I mean, during the bombing, I mean, you will be devastated. Who has been in Hiroshima, by the way? So you see, very few. So we probably have to organize a youth group international conference one day in Hiroshima for you guys to see. So then you will understand where and how a nuclear weapon can be devastating. And then Bob Cameron can tell you a little bit more about it. And he's been an expert in many of those issues. And I think you guys will have an opportunity to meet him, meet many others who can help you understand better how weapons are devastating, and then give you as well their ideas, because they're the people who have known and probably suffered more of war that we know and then we do today. I think Bob is probably more and better equipped to talk to you about the danger of war and then the future of this world. Okay? So I'll take two questions more. Yeah, this?
What about the country who ratified the treaty? So how can, as a youth group, how we can explain or participate to give them information for other country to understand the treaty, to push it?
Those who have ratified?
Yeah, because I'm from Algeria. I know that Algeria, she's ratified.
Yeah. I think you have a great point here. You know, rather than in a statement in New York or in Vienna or Geneva saying we urge all countries to ratify without further delay the CTBT, I think we've heard this rhetoric many times. I think we should probably find a way to have those who have ratified the CTBT help give or help get those who haven't by more dialogue, more opportunity where they can share ideas, and then explain why it's so important that this treaty is universal as soon as possible to avoid the treaty fatigue, because that's what it is today. I mean, if we continue 20, 30, and then this treaty doesn't get into force, we might end up being in a situation where people say, but why am I in anyway? I mean, some people ask me the question, but Mr. Zerbo, why do we need this treaty in force? Nobody's testing, it's only North Korea. What I tell them is probably because the CTBT exists and the international monitoring system is effective that you only have North Korea. We'll probably have more if the CTBT and its international monitoring system didn't exist. So you're right, you have a point, so let's reflect on this and then see how we can help make a difference between those who have ratified and then those who haven't. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jarbo. Here. Yeah, I am Saurabh from India, but currently based in Tokyo, Japan. So I would like to know your opinion about India-Japan civil nuclear cooperation and how it will change the India's stand for the CTBT. Because I am very much optimistic that one day the cooperation will bring the good things in this direction. Thank you.
So you're now putting me in a difficult spot, but let me take it anyway. It's like when you talk about India-Japan cooperation, it reminds me of the NSG. You know, India trying to get into the NSG. You know, what I personally think, India is one of the most emerging countries today, okay? You have the expertise, you have the economy, and then you have the youth for you. I mean, if I compare in terms of youth, in Burkina Faso, 70% of the population is under 25. I think 30, 25 below. India, you have a young population too. When you have youth, there is energy, there is dynamism. And then there is education too, because this generation, you can stop it, okay? If any country that cares for the treaty, cares for non-proliferation and disarmament, has to deal with another country that is yet to adhere to the arms control and non-proliferation measures that are pending, it would be wise, under this bilateral agreement, especially for a country like Japan, to inject why Japan cares for non-proliferation, why Japan cares for disarmament. And then get India, because they have to work together anyway. Japan can get India to reconsider its position with regard to the CTBT and many other measures. And this is how it should be. It doesn't have to come necessarily from the CTBT and this community in Vienna, but in bilateral agreement, they can make a difference. And this is what I believe in. I was saying the same for, when the US had this agreement with India in the past. I think if they didn't go full speed on this deal, so maybe India would be in a different position with regard to the CTBT and many other arms control measures. So this is what we have to do more. People shouldn't see only their personal ego from their country, but they should see and look at the bigger interests. What my bilateral agreement with another partner, what difference it will make to the global issue that we're trying to solve internationally. And this is what we should take into account. And I think the NSG is one example. But I'm not saying we shouldn't push India to the corner as well, because it's never good. It's like boxing. When you put somebody in the corner, the only thing he has to do is to strike back, because he has no choice, otherwise he falls. So it's not about pushing India against the ropes. That's not what it is. It's about getting India to reconsider its position based on the current situation, based on what the youth think, based on how the world has evolved, and then based on how we can help make a difference for a better future to you and then to the generation to come. And I concur with you. There was a question there, yeah, sorry.
So I have the pleasure of being both Chris's teacher, but also young enough to be in the youth group.
That's excellent.
My question is, I don't know about many of the people here, but I imagine they got involved in the youth group in college.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, how can we get more teachers involved?
Mm-hmm.
How we can encourage more high school students? I know SnT from Japan and I, in the US, we love teaching about nuclear disarmament, but there's not very many of us that are teaching disarmament at the high school level. So what can you guys help us do with that?
Look, I think I've been in cooperation with the CNS. Where is Bill Porter is not here. It's a disaster. Sarah, where is he? So I will tell Bill that it's not acceptable that we do a youth forum and he's not there, because Bill is one of the greatest advocates of youth and education. So send him a text and then tell him that he didn't have the opportunity to have a picture of Paulina, and then to meet Chris, who will probably tell him that he sees in him a great potential, that he should be in the room. But anyway, so we're cooperating with CNS, because, I mean, CNS has been a strong advocate of youth in non-proliferation and disarmament. But we're working with projects as well in many countries. Like you take Japan, Spain has offered to link with us. Russia, we have an international youth forum in Russia that's coming in October. Jordan is doing as well a big scientific forum with youth involvement. So any of you, wherever you are in youth events, the teachers, professors, and then, because it's true, I'm happy to see that you're a youth member with one of your students who is youth member. That's how generation are getting closer and closer to each, and that's wonderful. But wherever you are, speak out, because disarmament is important, non-proliferation is important. And what you should do and what you can do as well, we don't talk about it much in Africa, okay? If you take youth in Africa, they will not be close to this issue because it's not their priority. But I think issues are global enough today that we should have people from all the world being involved. There's no issue that belongs to the West and no issue that belongs to the South. There's no issue that belongs only to East or to North. issues are global enough for everyone to be part and then to play its partition. So whatever you can do at school, if you want to invite people like, Keegan or Chipurina or Ryan to come and talk about the CTBT, they can do as good as I can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be me. And then you can even invite Carlos to come and talk about the CTBT. I'm sure he will do good. So what you have to do is, whenever you have an event, you can invite as many people who have been involved in this issue for some time to be able to come and talk about the CTBT, talk about the international monitoring system, because not many people know of it. I hope you guys will have an opportunity to visit our station, the mock station that are in the Vienna International Center. And then if you have time and then you want to sit in my chair like Sahil, come and sit. If that gives you a feeling to become the next Director General, I think that will be great too. So don't hesitate. But there's one thing that I would not stop without talking about is I've become a gender champion. There's a gender champion initiative that is launched by, it's launched in New York, in Geneva, and then we did it in Vienna. So they were asking me, a journalist, why have you joined this initiative? I said, because I'm a minority at home. I have 3 daughters and a wife, so I have no choice than being a gender champion to try and balance a little bit. So that was the only option for me. But I'm saying this because in the youth group, we have enough talented women, and that's great. We can't build the future of this world. We can't build peace and a stable environment without women being part of it. And this is important. I'm not saying men are not good, but women are better. So, so I think that's it. Shukran.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zervo. As quite a few of your questions have actually been focusing on how to use social media in order to promote the CTBT, I would actually like to give the floor now to the head of the public information section, Ms. Elizabeth Wachter, who has made special tailored workshops for you, about which she would like now to tell you a little bit more about. Elizabeth, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. And thank you so much, Dr. Zervo, for again making my job so easy. I love this job because you say all the right things at the right time, and it makes my presentation very, very short indeed. First, I wanted to share a bit of good news. I just saw on Twitter that SnT 17 is actually trending in Austria, which is yay already, 2 hours into the conference. So let's get it trending other places too. So get out your phones and tweet, please. But listen to the presentations as well. It's not just about tweeting. Most of you will know my name because I've been emailing you with all kinds of weird and wonderful and crazy ideas and suggestions on how to get involved, how to get your voices heard, and how we can listen to you better. So you will know that we are encouraging you to participate in a tombola, which is like a raffle. We asked you to send us your ideas for outreach initiatives, and there'll be a presentation on this. We don't have a room yet, unfortunately, but I'll find a room and then we'll do the presentation on Thursday. Many of you have already participated in our vlogs project, which is very exciting. They're being posted on the youth group Facebook page and available on Twitter. And you'll see plenty of people with film and stills cameras around, making little snapshots and continuing that project. We are very active, as you see, on our website and on various social media channels. And then, of course, we have 3 workshops happening this week. One is this afternoon, and I'm just going to ask Karen to stand up, maybe. Karen Arantes is from the United Nations social media team, and I'm very happy to be here, to have her here. I'm very excited, and she will be talking about using Twitter, social media, Instagram, all kinds of wonderful things in an organizational, international, multilateral context. So that's at 3 this afternoon. About half of you, I think, have already expressed an interest in participating in something we call the Youth Newsroom Project, and I'm very pleased to see that there is so much interest in the project. We initially thought if we get 5 or 6 people to show up, that'll be great. I think we have 20 or even more. And there will be a workshop explaining a little bit what it is and maybe talking about more traditional journalism in general on Tuesday afternoon, and it is led by Peter Rickwood from Atomic Reporters. That's Peter. Most of you have already met Peter, so thank you. And then there will be a writing workshop on Thursday afternoon led by Ramesh Jowra, and Ramesh was here. There he is, Ramesh, thank you. The editor-in-chief of In-Depth News, whom many of you will already be familiar with, because Ramesh is, has a standing offer to publish articles written by youth group members, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to do this and what to focus on. So plenty of things happening. Maria had already mentioned some of the hands-on exhibits and how to get involved during the conference here. I think we have lots of different exhibits, lots of different opportunities, and maybe to address some of the questions that came up earlier, how, who to target, how to do it. Everybody has their own target audience. You can decide, this is the group that will listen most to me. This is the group that matters most to me. Just the same way, if you want to be involved in the newsroom, that's fantastic. If you want to just take it in and absorb and listen to scientific presentations, that's wonderful as well. I think it's a really diverse group, and we're really excited to have you all here. If you have any questions, find me or one of my team. Most of my team, you have some sort of camera device in their hand, as well as our wonderful workshop presenters throughout this week. And I'm hoping I get to meet all of you sometime this week. So thank you for being here. Questions? I don't want to take too much time, but if there's any questions. Good, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. At this time, I will give a brief overview of the youth group and some of the achievements and accomplishments, as well as some practical ways for how you can become a proactive member, and some of the ways that we can support you in your projects and initiatives. So the youth group was launched in January 2016 at the Science and Diplomacy Symposium, which was held here in Vienna. Oh, please.
I just was lucky to find him. And we cooperated very well from the very beginning. So first he was IDC, then he is my successor's successor. And I'm still alive. And the organization is working well. And this is also thanks to him. And Lassina invented this youth group, and I think it was a very good invention. So I wish you all very, very well. Thank you.
So one of the important outcomes was engaging the youth to further promote the entry into force of the treaty. And the group is open to all students and young graduates who are dedicating their careers to global peace and security and who wish to actively engage in promoting the treaty and the verification regime. The key objectives of the youth group are fivefold. So the first is to revitalize the discussion around the CTBT among decision makers, academia, students, expert society, and the media. The second is to raise awareness of the importance of the test ban, to build a basis for knowledge transfer to the younger generation, to involve new technologies in promoting the CTBT, so that's using your social media, digital visualization, and other interactive means of information delivery. And finally, to place the CTBT on the agenda of the world's most important nuclear-related events. Looking at the membership, the CTBT, the youth group, has grown quite a bit in the last 18 months. So all corners of the globe are represented. There are now actually a little bit over 200 members, and 55 countries are represented. So 43% are female and 57% are male. Although the youth group is not a numbers game, all the regions are represented from that are in the treaty there. And if you reach out to other colleagues or students, friends, and ask them to join the youth group to enhance the numbers in the underrepresented regions, that would be appreciated. And 36% of the youth group members come from countries that have yet to ratify the treaty, which are in Annex 2 of to ratify for entry into force. As far as affiliation is concerned, 30% are students, which is to be expected, but we have a lot of young professionals working that are part of the group. And there I'd like to highlight that there are still a lot of unknowns that we have in our data set. So we requested if you could log on to the youth group portal and fill in your profiles. This greatly helps us to tailor our programs, to report on statistics, and to know more about you. So please kindly complete your information. And as far as academic disciplines, it's a multidisciplinary group. The majority come from the social sciences, but it's great to see so many scientific and technical members here, especially this week. But having you all work together really enhances the group and the products that you're working on, the projects that you're working on. And this is just a quick glance at the various countries that are represented there. As I mentioned, we have 55 countries represented. And you're really a global community of like-minded individuals working on this great cause. Just highlighting some of the accomplishments. Participating in events, that's one of the main activities that youth group members can partake in. So there's a variety of high-level events, and this is just an illustrative look. The way that members participate is, there have been side events that have been organized in the past. We've had exhibitions where youth group members have represented the CTBTO and reached out to other experts at these activities. So that's just one. The other activities are projects and products that have been developed. So there's been an awareness-raising video developed, an e-learning tool, mission walks, which was organized by Natalie and Madeline, which included going out to the various permanent missions and doing informational interviews with staffs there to understand the concerns or what the issues might be in the national perspectives. A side event during the ministerial meeting last year during the 20th anniversary series of activities. Summer school for high school students in Russia. NGO walk in Washington, D.C. Carlos's CTBT in Action project, where you see the screenshot there where there was an interactive dialogue with the ambassador of Japan and Kazakhstan and youth group members in Texas, and a Train the Trainers activity here in Vienna. As far as articles and digital media published, the various publications include In-Depth News, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, South Asian Voices, The Diplomat. Here's just some other self-publishing on YouTube and social media, different blogging platforms. So how can you become a proactive member? So we really encourage you to make use of this global network. Explore the member directory, connect with your peers. We've also launched a Facebook group, and there's also self-organized communication channels. So it's been great to see all the discussions on the WhatsApp group, to see just everybody getting together on Twitter as well. There's going to be a Twitter list. The more that you can connect with each other to build your social capital, to find ways that you can work together, I think that's going to be a very positive outcome. And it's really up to you to make the most of your participation in your engagement. Feel free to reach out to the youth group support team. We're there to support you. We have networks, we have educational resources, and we just love to see you develop your projects and grow and make the most out of being a part of this wonderful group. And Dr. Zerbo mentioned this earlier, but it's really important to remember the communication guidelines. This is something like your code of conduct. And just to be aware and sensitive to the various issues. So read the treaty and really understand it. Take ownership of it, as Dr. Zerbo highlighted. Live the treaty, so be neutral and factual when talking about it and developing your projects. And to use disclaimers to indicate that you're talking from your personal perspective. And to be a force multiplier. That means using social media, reaching out even on the airplane if you're going to speak to somebody there. And really just to be mindful of copyright laws and the fair use and work of others. So you can use Creative Commons, for example, to find stock images or background music for your video projects. The communication guidelines are available on the youth group portal. So please ensure that you have a look at those and make sure that you follow those, and that will help you through your work here. I mentioned the events already. So the youth group portal does highlight events that are organized by the CTBTO, but we also add external events that are of interest to the treaty. And you're also welcome to submit your own activities, either your own projects that you're organizing, that you want other youth group members to participate in, or other things that we may have missed that could be of interest to the work of the group. And that's all through the youth group portal. And we also launched a CTBT Advocacy Quarterly newsletter. Now this newsletter is something that summarizes the highlights and significant events and developments for the CTBT advocacy community. So that includes a group of eminent persons and the youth group. And you know, we really want that this document, this publication is produced by the members, the youth group members themselves. So to the extent that you can share your updates, you can draft articles for us to include there. That would really help to tailor the message and really highlight the activities that you're doing. And I'll just leave this quote here. These are two quotes from Maximilian Hoel and Brenna Gautam on their experiences on and what it means to participate as a youth group member for the last 18 months. So I'll just read Maximilian's quote. To me, promoting the CTBT as a youth group member means helping create a safer future for all, a world which nuclear testing belongs to the past. And Brenna says, the youth group has given me access to a network of young people from a diversity of countries, backgrounds, and fields of study. All of us want to see the CTBT ratified, and there is strength in numbers when we support each other's efforts through this network. So at this time, if you would like to share some of your experiences as being youth group members, if you have any questions for us as to how we can support you, feedback, suggestions, it's all welcome. So that was just a quick snapshot of the youth group, and we hope that you make the most out of this wonderful week, this wonderful opportunity. Learn as much as you can, talk to as many people as you can, and we look forward to seeing your updates and being in touch with you. So thank you very much.
Let us just scroll back. So I think that the remaining main question for you, also having seen that there was this individual tailor-made program distributed already to you, is to actually talk what is your program during the upcoming week. Did everyone get a sheet? It was distributed on your chairs. Does everyone have it? If someone doesn't, we have some extra copies over here, so just please come up and take one. The idea behind this individual program is to make sure that we highlight the panels that would be of most interest to you. And of course, the first one is the, let's say, unmissable one, which is the high-level opening happening tomorrow morning. Do make sure you come early, because there would be a lot of people who would want to attend it, and of course you would want to sit inside the room to make sure you hear both the opening remarks as well as assist at the panel discussion on sizing opportunities and overcoming challenges, the CTBT's relevance in a dynamic global context. It would bring together high-level speakers, and it would also be a great opportunity for you to see how politicians and experts feel about the treaty and what their opinion is. Then we also have, throughout the week, several policy and science-themed panel discussions, both on Wednesday and on Friday. I would not be going through all of them in great detail, but if you see on Wednesday, the focus is more academic, so it's about how you as students or PhD students or also professors can increase the visibility of the CTBT by integrating it in the academic curricula, for example, through the development of the so-called MOOCs, which is the online courses, global online courses. And on Friday, we would focus more on advancing the CTBT with science diplomacy, which is also extremely exciting because it's about the scientists who can become political advisors. It's about you, because probably some of you would want to go and continue your studies and working as experts. It's about really you being able to influence the political decisions. And the other panel is about utilizing the monitoring technologies for global development, which puts everything, and I think it's a great way also to, let's say, culminate the SnT. It's about thinking how the data that is produced here at the CTBTO can be used, for example, to survey what we can do about disaster management, or to advance the global development goals, to make sure that the data produced that we have at hand is actually used in a much more global context. Elizabeth has already spoken about the tailor-made workshops, which are also, of course, here on the program, so I would not be touching on that. What I would want to touch upon is today's youth group mentoring session, which is probably something all of you are looking much forward to. And we're quite lucky to have here with us today in this very room two of the mentors that would be with you this afternoon. First of all, Sandil. Sandil, can you please stand up? You might have confused him with a youth group member, but actually Sandil is a world-known digital laser expert who has made a lot of TED Talks and who, speaking to him yesterday, actually I would encourage you to talk to him after this session as well, has just like a fantastic live vision of things, saying, for example, that light is something that can cure and heal, but also something that can kill. This is a very interesting perspective. And also we have here with us Ms. Taki. Ms. Taki, can you please also stand up? She is the director of the CNS Critical Issues Forum, and she would also be mentoring you this afternoon. Plus, of course, you would get a unique opportunity to talk to the senior management and the senior coordinators from the CTBTO who have been running the preparations for the Science and Technology Conference. be it the director of the IMS or the director of the IDC, the International Data Center. And we would also have Carlos, that's Carlos Rodriguez Cruz Ucheles, who would be presenting on the CTBT in action. I'm also sure that some of you who have, and thank you very much for this, put forward the research papers for this conference are definitely interested when you would be able to present those. As you will see from the program, the presentation would be on Wednesday at 4 p.m. in the Rittersaal. And your papers have been distributed according to 3 themes. Thank you also for those who have accepted to moderate those panels. And you can just write down and see at which exact theme your paper would be presented. There would also be a youth group workshop on Thursday, so we would definitely encourage you to attend it. And speaking about the youth group discussions and workshops, please do all come to them, because not only is a way for you to show solidarity towards your peers, it can also be a fantastic way for you, by listening to the others, to say, oh, actually this is a subject I've been always dreaming to work on, and this is a person who's already started it. Maybe we can have this international partnership and we can bring it forward together. We can develop some kind of ideas. We can launch a project. And as Dr. Zerbo and also Ryan have already mentioned, we're always there for you. So if you have an interesting project, for example, like the upcoming youth group conference in Moscow and Cairo, definitely reach out to us. We're there to help you support putting these creative ideas into practice by, for example, making sure that you get high-level speakers to attend this conference, to make it more visible, and also to attract the attention of be it your friends, your peers, or your colleagues. There are also a lot of white blanks on this program. So some of you might say, does it mean we do not do anything? No, of course not. All of you have this program, which is, as you can see, full of various panels. And it might seem to some of you that even the titles of those, not to mention the presentations themselves, are very technical. Our advice would be definitely go forward and challenge yourself. Even those of you who are in the international relations, or let's say public affairs sphere, you know very well that to be a good expert, you should be well specialized. And some of you have been in this room, some of you might have not, but yesterday I walked in there, and it's about the underwater acoustics system, how the last acoustic systems to complete the entire CTBTO acoustic system was installed. I was walking around looking at this map on the floor and looking at the photos. I could not understand a lot because my profile is not really geophysics engineer based. And then I met Jim, who is actually an engineer who worked over this entire Christmas on this project. And Jim started talking to me, explaining everything. And it was surprising because I told him, I'm not very familiar, and please, can you explain a little bit more? And at the end, he told, thank you so much for asking. For me, who's been devoting so many years to making sure this whole system comes to life, it has been the highlight of my day, because I can feel that I'm making a difference and that people are actually interested in the difference I'm making. So do not hesitate to reach out to those people. Not only will they be interested and willing to talk to you and to explain everything and to teach you also a lot, for those of you who might not know everything about it, it would also be an honor and a pleasure to them. We would also want to highlight that it's a lot about listening and trying to learn from each other, about listening and trying to learn from others, but also about teaching us about you and making sure you are as visible as possible. Not only and not just on social media. It's also about asking questions. There are never bad questions. The worst thing to do is simply not to ask a question if you do not understand something or if you want to know something more. And for those of you who want to be very tech savvy, there is a special app about which you can learn which has information in the bag that you have been distributed. So just install an app, and if you do not feel like raising up your hand and asking a question during a panel, send a question through this app, which can also be quite easy to do. This is the first Science and Technology conference at which CTBTO youth group members are actually present. So really make sure you leave a very good impression, make sure you promote yourselves, and make sure you also allow all of us to learn as much as you can about you. Thank you.
So now we have about half an hour left in this session, so really the floor is yours for any questions that you have about this week, the youth group, or to talk about yourselves as well. And
Just a quick one. So for the CTBT event app, what's the event code?
You get this little flyer in your conference bag, which has all the instructions.
Okay.
You have to search the item CTBTO, download the CTBTO events app, and then the entire instructions on this.
Hi, good morning. What is the Twitter hashtag for the day?
SnT 2017.
Any underscore in between? Is there two
No.
hashtags? Okay. Thank you.
So no questions? Okay, there's a question there. If you don't have questions, it would be great to have us here, and not everybody in the audience is a youth group member, to explain who you are and what brought you here and what your expectations are. It would be great to share that with the others, and also for those who are not youth group members and are interested in what you're hoping to get out of this and what has brought you also to the CTBTO youth group.
Yeah, so I don't really have a question since you mentioned to show why we're here. So we're the group from UBC, and we came here with an idea to spread awareness of the CTBT. So our project started doing inspired on the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and we developed another challenge that we think it's fun for everyone to do, and hopefully the idea is that it can get widespread the same way the ALS did, and just like the main goal is to get as much people as we can talking about the CTBT, just knowing what it is. So yeah, we did want to take the opportunity that we have so many interested young people here, just to be able to do the challenge within ourselves and then challenge your friends, and that way kind of kickstart this whole idea that we'd had planning for months now. So yeah, we are planning on talking to someone to see how we can get support in this matter, but I just wanted to let everyone know that we are here trying to promote that challenge if there is space for it.
Also, our challenge will involve water and throwing it at people, so beware, but we have ponchos to cover you guys up. It'll be fun, I promise.
Where will you throw that water?
At the person that you're versing.
Okay.
And then the hope is that 2 people will do that, and they'll nominate 2 of their friends. So, and then those 2 people will nominate more people, and it'll continue on like that. Very similar to the ALS challenge.
And a mop. Okay. Anybody else want to talk about their project or about their expectations? Okay, so we could break early. You want to talk about the?
My name is Sahil. I'm just gonna make a really quick point. 2 years ago at SNT, we only had 6 youth here. So Nelson and I were here with a few other friends. We were accompanying Dr. Perry, who we do research for. He's a GEM member. And from that point onwards, we saw a huge surge of support by Dr. Zerbo to re-involve or to start to involve youth in CTBTO's future. And it's amazing to see 2 years later that we have 10 times the amount of youth here. We have over 60, so we went from 6 to 60. And beyond that, the group is obviously much larger. So I strongly suggest that whenever you have a moment, go on the CTBTO's website, and there is a history of the SNT conferences. So starting from 2006, each conference has its own sort of portfolio and website. And it's just amazing to see the transformation that the conference has undergone. And over time, it's not only incorporated more youth, but it's incorporated more functional diversity. So there's a huge emphasis now on mirroring the science and technology with people who can try to articulate those subjects socially and politically. So while you're here, please try to delve into the science and technology, because it's definitely the best bet we have to bring the treaty into force.
Great,
That's
thank
it.
you. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Bidgood. I know many of you, but along with Sahil and some of the other youth group participants here, I was an, I would say, early adopter of the kind of youth group model. And since Diana asked us to highlight a little bit about some of what we're doing, I think one of the things for those of you who aren't youth group members that's most interesting to me about this group is that there's space for many different manifestations of your support for the treaty. So, for example, we have people doing, advocacy work that's kind of based on IR theory, which I think is really interesting. And we also have students who are undertaking, research into different ways to facilitate the entry into force of the treaty. So, just as an example, and you'll see this on the panel on Wednesday afternoon, one of my colleagues, Sylvia Mishra, and I are going to be presenting some research on IMS facilities as an interim step towards CTBT ratification in the Middle East and South Asia. And I know a number of other students as well are kind of looking at those types of regional issues. So just for those of you who are getting to know the CTBTO youth group for the first time, there's really a diversity of ways to support it, and I think that's one of its greatest strengths. Thanks.
I guess that's me. Okay, so I guess I'll just stand up. Some of you may already know me as the kid who wrote to Dr. Zerbo, but the real reason I am honored to be here is to share what I've been doing back in Los Angeles, which is the nuclear weapons-free school movement, or nuclear-free testing, whatever you want to call it. We just don't want these weapons and materials at schools. And while this may target primarily high schools, we do recognize that there is potential there in these, I guess, younger people. I mean, we're all youth here, but people like me are a lot more younger than you. So what we believe is informing everyone with by using resources at our disposal. Back in Los Angeles, we are working with Physicians for Social Responsibility, the Los Angeles chapter, and we're looking to host another conference with experts on the field, maybe like professors or scientists or doctors, to talk about the dangers of these weapons, and not only that, but also talk about the benefits of being a nuclear-free place. Not just a symbolic stance, but like how this motivates others to join in and join forces, and realize that what we're doing here is trying to make a world a better place. And additionally, we are also trying to push a nuclear literacy curriculum in California through California legislation. And what that means is we're going to disseminate various aspects of nuclear non-proliferation studies through the core courses in the United States, which are like history and science and mathematics. And by that, I mean explaining, nuclear winter, what are the effects and the dangers of it. And in history, like what were the effects of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and, nuclear trade-offs, that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Qasim from South Korea. you can I have just one suggestion that if you people we want to further strengthen this youth group in our countries, if it's possible, we can make or develop some structure like the country coordinators and then the university coordinators and provincial coordinator, and we can develop a network in the country based so that we can involve a lot of the people and students from the different universities and it can strengthen this network. So if it is possible from the CTBTO side, and they can encourage people in their countries to develop that network, and it will be helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. And you raise a good point, because the question was asked earlier, which is, what do we do? How do we go about it? Who do we target? And the answers that you provided were very clear and very good. And you're going to have later this week a presentation on certain perspectives from certain countries as to who the public is, how to talk. So Aditi Malhotra will be presenting, and Binish Pervez will also, and Hamza Rifat, they will be moderating this workshop and sharing their experience of what, the basis of their research, what works or what are the messaging to the different audiences in your countries. I don't know if at this point anybody wants to share anything, but or your personal experience, but a question that I've been posed and that I think is a very important question, and I'd like for you to answer: how would you make the CTBT relatable? How do you really talk to the person next to you on the plane or someone from your school and make the CTBT something that's not so technological, scientific, or far away? How do you talk to somebody? I'm from Colombia. How would you tell somebody where our issues are now the FARC and guerrilla and drugs? Why would this be a priority? Why should the CTBT be a priority and not these other burning issues? So my question to you is, how do you think, from your personal perspective, that you could make this treaty relatable? And an example, in terms of, for example, climate change, a way that people make that relatable and try to put their little grain of salt is, there's a campaign of, okay, everybody at 8 o'clock, we all turn off the lights and we'll have a global moment of darkness in order to contribute to saving energy. Or when you're brushing your teeth, you shut off the faucet and save some water. And these are ways that you get the civil society to own and be part of it. What would be the equivalent of those examples to the CTBT? So if anybody could come up with responses to that now, that would be great. Otherwise, just think about it, and that's probably will also be very helpful.
Thank you. So, hi, my name's Kevin. So I think what's really important when you're trying to convince people, when you're trying to communicate a complex issue to someone, is you break it down to the simplest level of how it affects their lives, right? And although there's no shortage of problems in the world right now, there's very few problems that the world faces that are on the same existential level as the CTBT, because a nuclear conflict really could be, well, I don't want to sound negative, right, on the first day of the conference, but it really could be the end of civilization. And this is one of, if not the most pressing challenges of our times. But obviously, you can't go off and just say that to someone, they'll never listen to you. So you have to start slow. You have to start with what people are comfortable with and go from there, right? You have to say, what do you like about having, in your life? Do you like, peace? Do you like security? Do you like safety? Do you like being able to go to school, right? Do you like being able to associate with your friends? Do you like being able to go wherever you please? All of that will come to an end in the event of a nuclear catastrophe. And it's not so much of why you should care about the CTBT, it's a question of why you should care about all the privileges and freedoms and liberties that you already enjoy because of the absence of nuclear conflict. And I think that's where you have to start, is showing people what they already have because of the lack of nuclear conflict, and that if they want to maintain things the same way, right, if they want this to keep going towards the future, then they have to be a supporter of the CTBT because it would only be natural. So I think that's where you would have to start.
Yeah, that's an excellent perspective, Kevin. Thank you. Kyle.
Hello, my name's Kyle Paludi, and I'm from the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey. the kind of the concept of communicating what the CTBT is, why it's important, and all of that. I think the youth group is very uniquely placed in that kind of everything that comes from our generational communication, be it figuring out how to condense your idea into the amount of characters permitted on Twitter, as well as describing what you are studying to your family when you go home for Christmas. I think that's actually really, really good practice as to how to explain that to people who are not technical experts, those to explain why this is important. And so simplifying and condensing language is something that I think we have a lot of practice with, and we're getting a lot better. And those are just really good tools.
Excellent, thank you.
As you know, Diana, my research is on CTBTO, how she protects environment. Like I see, and my experience on this, is, I can see that CTBTO can save the planet. So we can, it's equal to Earth and CTBTO. And how she's saving the planet by banning the nuclear test, by understanding climate change, and trying to, how can I say it? When we understand the treaty exactly, we can see that CTBT, it's more than an organization. It's not just banning nuclear tests, it's for everything. So it's equal to all organization. That's CTBT. Thank you.
Thank you, Keja.
Hey guys, I'm Carlos. I'm up here, and I wanted to give a shout out to these three people up here on the left. They stayed a bit quiet, but Asia, Nelson, and Sahil, some of the folks that were around to give a lot of energy and breathe a lot of a lot of their time and effort into the youth group when it was just starting out. I'm here because of them, because they seeing their commitment and their passion, and there's some of the other folks here as well that have. I mean, I can't name all of you there, but just seeing the energy and the passion that you guys have for this is what drives me to go back to my community and get my friends involved. And just Asia started this educational program in Russia, which was really, really neat to see. That inspired me to do the same at my university, and now we have a couple of folks from UT Dallas scattered throughout the audience. So I'm so excited to see that more of you are here, and if you just take this back to your friends and drop a line in their inbox and say, hey, this might not be on your radar, but come check it out. It's amazing what will come through. So really just sharing that passion with your friends will go a really long way. So I encourage you to do that when you go back. Take these experiences throughout the week and find out how you can connect them to your own groups back home, and it'll go really, really far.
Thank you. It's in the back. This is Chris Astra. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you here. My name is Madikris Adiastra. You can call me Madikris. I come from Indonesia. I'm a seismologist. I have been actively analyze the DPRK nuclear explosion in context of seismology. And here I would like to create a stronger connection between a young scientist or youth group here. And recently I met with my new friend from Vietnam, Nguyen, and we would like to create, to establish a stronger connection between, among Southeast Asian nations. We would like to create, for instance, maybe a CTBT youth group Asian chapter. So we would like to spread this message more intensely in next years, start from today. Thank you for such an honor being here. Nice to meet you all.
think we could wrap up. You wrap up?
Okay, if there are no further questions, you have another question here? Sorry, on the app, okay. We have a question from the application. Okay. The question is to know more about the structure of the tombola.
Raffle. So the structure of the tombola, I believe that we will still identify, we don't have yet the room, right? On Thursday, we will communicate well before Thursday where the room will be, it will be a raffle. And those who are in the raffle are those who submitted projects, advocacy tools, which were at some degree of development and made it into, well, would have fulfilled the criteria that were set out in the guidelines. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's 12. So it would be a raffle among those 12. But more details on the room will be provided once we get the confirmation of whether it could be here or elsewhere.
We had another question here in the front.
Kevin?
Yes. It's not a question, it's more of a sentiment. Is it okay if I face the room? Because
Sure.
I mean, I'm really up in the front, and as much as I love talking to like 12 people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to express, I guess, a message of optimism. So something that I was really thinking about all the way here on the plane ride was, this is a huge issue, right? We're talking about ending nuclear testing with the purpose of ending nuclear warfare. You know, most of us in here, like some of us are barely old enough to vote, right? How are we gonna tackle this? But then once I got in here and once I started hearing the speakers talk, and especially once I heard what Sahil said, you know, this group, right, this group of young people started from 6 2 years ago, and now it's 60, right? What if 2 years from now it was 600? And what if it kept growing from there? Because this is an issue that doesn't stop with us, right? This is an issue that doesn't end in Vienna, and it certainly doesn't end today. This is an issue that's going to go on for as long as there are nuclear weapons and nuclear testing around the world. And the most exciting thing of all is that, you know, we are part of the solution. You're living the solution. And I really believe that if we put all of our efforts together and we work together, we're going to be the ones to solve it.
Thank you, Kevin. Absolutely. And so with this, you're welcome to the coffee break. Oh.
Wait, before we go, can we have a round of applause for Diana and the folks up here for all the work that they're doing to organize this and put it together? Right, let's give it up.